Hi guys, we are back at the trailer. I have a couple of things I want to run by you guys before I actually go ahead and do this stuff, so I kind of want to go over some things. I feel like I have a defective remote. For some reason the winch wasn't working when I was using the remote. Everything had power, so that was kind of weird, but I'm definitely going to look into it and see. I don't know if I'm going to get time to adjust the brakes today, but I want to do that. I've been looking into the gauge I-dash, or the Banks I-dash, and right here's where I want to put it, above the oil pressure gauge. So I'm probably just going to get rid of as much as possible of this oil pressure gauge, obviously on the other cluster first, to kind of like experiment and see if it's going to look good, and we'll go from there. But this whole thing is going to go, and then put the Banks I-dash right here. And I'm not going to do that until at least January 1st, because I have more than enough write-offs this year. Next year I'm going to have to start, you know, throwing some write-offs in it, so things like that. The power-driven diesels in-cab controller, I want to get one of those. I want to get the Max Travel kit with that, and I want to get the Banks I-dash. Those are my three first things next year. With that being said, I'm letting the truck run because it hasn't even warmed up yet. But we got Liam with us. Here's that Mustang from the other day. Sorry, you're gonna have to hear me over the truck. I also want to go through, I'm gonna adjust the pre-boost, because I didn't tell anybody, but a while back I adjusted the pre-boost all the way in and ran great. But when I had this loaded with 3, I was getting like 10.5 miles per gallon all the way down, and then that miles per gallon was progressively getting better and better as I dropped cars off. When I came up empty, I was able to get 400 miles to a tank as opposed to 300 miles. So I was told definitely get rid of that pre-boost. I'm gonna readjust that and we'll go from there. So aside from that, I need to take that wheel off over there. We're gonna put that in the storage unit. I need to figure out if like what the hell's going on with this thing, because I have a spare remote and everything, so I'm gonna check into that and figure out if that's what's the cause of it. And yeah, so this is gonna come off. And then I showed you guys in the previous video, I mentioned his name, but I was able to get a spare rim. So I'm gonna throw this tire on this rim, and then that's gonna go on the other side. And that's why I said, so this tire they mounted higher than they mounted this one. And I'm hoping that with that 33, it'll sit flush or even lower, because I don't know. Once I go CDL, I don't plan on keeping like this wheel and tire setup as long. Like I'll keep the wheels and tires, don't get me wrong, but I want to get a set of fuel cleavers next year for it. It's just like I said, once I'm debt free, I'm not really going to care about fuel mileage. Once I have my CDL, I'm not going to care about weight as much and just things like that. But yeah, this thing's going to be with me for a very long time, with the 12-valve swap, with the dually swap. I want to enjoy. I've always wanted a set of fuel cleavers, and I feel like that'll be a nice gift to myself once I am debt free. But this thing's been, look at the smoke that the 12-valve pours out, like just sitting in idle. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but it definitely leaves out a little haze to it. So I'm wondering if that's also part of the pre-boost fueling, just dumping way too much fuel. It's not oil, it's definitely fuel. But we're also, I'm gonna be swapping this thing to a VGT turbo here. I just need to see how I can get it to work. I remember the last guy, the guy that I bought the bumper off of, he had an HE351 VE on his because he swapped a 6.7 truck, and he just put the vanes in a specific spot. And then I forget or not if he was using the exhaust brake. There you can see the smoke kinda. I don't know if it shows up on camera. So that's basically what we're gonna do. But yeah, that is a lot of pre-boost smoke. So let's see if we can't do away with that today. All right, also I am ordering, I'm gonna see if Milwaukee has an orbital sander. I'm gonna start sanding this thing down. So all of these little spots here, I'm gonna get this all sanded down flush, and then we'll start, I'll probably just throw some spray paint on it just to get it, you know, going. And then over the weeks and the weeks, I'm gonna end up getting the whole bed repainted, but I'm gonna try to do the body work myself and try to get it perfect. If it turns out to be a problem that any of this stuff like falls back through, which I don't know, it very well may, I don't know. So my dad did one over here. He ground this one down, and it's not perfect. He just used a little wire brush with the air whizzer, but yeah, so I'm gonna get all that sanded down with an actual orbital sander and get it all you know, perfect to a point, and then yeah, then we'll see, you know, we'll see how it comes out. All right, so those gaskets are not holding all that great. I'm probably gonna have to order the 12 valve gaskets, because you can see that this is, you know, a common rail manifold on a 12 valve. There is a DPS 2-piece in the plans, but again, I have more than enough write-offs this year. I want to do it next year. I got to figure out how I want to get this thing to work. And my HE351 VG is welded to the manifold that is a common rail manifold. So either way, I'm going to have to use a common rail manifold for that one. But I'm not going to run the VGT year round. I only want to run the VGT in the winter time, and then in the summer, I like a fixed vane turbo. So that's just me. That's my personal preference. It doesn't bother me to swap the turbo twice a year. It does not. I want to get both of them built at some point. So you can see like there's little leaks there. I'm wondering if I can't like loosen them and like squeeze the gasket on the side. Maybe that'll seal it better. I don't know. They definitely weren't leaking like this before, so I don't know what the plan's gonna be now, but we shall see. Also, I gotta go get another O-ring because this is not sealing. So I just need to go and get an O-ring for that, but I'm not gonna take it off now because the engine's kind of warm. So here's my pre-boost. You guys can see right there. If you look at it, it is all the way in. And if you want good fuel mileage, don't do that. So I'm gonna take this out. We're gonna start messing with fuel economy and trying to get, you know, at least decent, man, that's gone. At least decent economy. I'm not like shooting for any records or anything. This thing empty, I can get 19, but that's if I'm driving all highway empty without a trailer. So what I'm gonna do now is just loosen this thing as far as it goes and then put it in. Once it touches, I think you're supposed to back it off 1. I'm gonna verify that here in a minute, but yeah, so let's get that as far out as possible. There we go. So now it's loose. Now it's not touching, and then right there it's touching. So I'm also gonna play around with this while it's running. You should notice a little bit different of an exhaust tone as you're adjusting it, because more fuel, it'll be dumping more fuel, so it might be a little bit louder. And if you take fuel away, it'll be less. It should be a little quieter. But at the same time, it's like, I liked it as loud as possible, but 12 valves are just a quiet engine in general. Whereas like a common rail is just ungodly loud out the exhaust. It's like, a common rail is like 3 times louder out the exhaust than a 12 valve. So, kind of sucks. The engine makes more noise on a 12 valve, whereas the common rail makes more noise out the exhaust. It's really annoying. I miss the sound of my common rail. All right, you guys can see, this is literally what controls your pre-boost fueling. And I think, I could be wrong, but I thought it was, this controls anything below 10 PSI. So your truck is gonna have a minimal of fuel always going into the cylinders, whether it's idling or not. So this is what will control anything below 10, 5 or 10, I forget what it was, to be honest. There's a million videos out there, go look at one of them. But that's basically what this will do. So if this is dumping as much fuel as possible in idle, then that's gonna be the minimal. So when you're hitting boost, it's gonna hit even more, is if I understand that correctly, but I'm sure 12 valve experts will be able to explain it better. All I know is the further this is, more fuel you get before boost. The further out it is, less fuel you get before boost. So if you have high EGTs with this all the way in, it's gonna follow you to the top end. So let's get this thing in. All right, so I have it out as far as possible. It just touches, and then that's it. I think it was Power Driven Diesel. I was watching one of their videos at one point, and they said you'll want to turn it in 3 full turns, but I'm gonna try it all the way out and see if it actually fuels. I saw somebody else was having problems keeping it running with the wrong adjustment, so that's what we're here to do today. We're gonna experiment the truck, experiment the trailer. Liam, get down. Well, it runs. Still runs. Any smoke? Yeah, it still smokes. I don't know. Between that and the exhaust manifold gaskets, I've been getting pretty shitty fuel economy. 10.5 loaded is just, I don't think it's right. I don't think that's acceptable. But, oh well, I'm gonna get that tightened down. I'll do a test drive later to see how bad it smokes. Here's the old battery. I just stuffed one of these in the CRV that I had laying around, and the CRV starts every time now. I put it in, and started it once, like last week, went on the road for 5 days, and then this morning it started right up. So I'm gonna use this as a testing ground to see all of, like, make sure that this works, in other words. And I'm gonna try that other box as well. But here's the other instrument cluster. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna take it apart and see how easy it is to dismantle the oil pressure gauge. If I can't, I'm just gonna take the gauge off and probably just coat that in black or put something over it. I wanna get rid of the check engine light and the check gauges light, because those, no matter what I do, will always be permanently lit on the truck. So there's no point in keeping them. I actually had an old Starion that they don't actually come with a check engine light. So it's kind of neat, actually. So yeah, do away with those two, do away with that one, and then we'll put a Banks iDash in there, make it look all nice and clean, and we'll be done with it. I'm tired of looking at this light. See, now the check gauges light would stay off if I fix the oil pressure gauge, but this oil pressure gauge is literally nothing more than a light with an arm. That's all it is. This is a real oil pressure gauge. This is reading 42 right now, whereas this in idle would only read like at the bottom line there. So there's no point in having it. All right, so I remember in the last video I put in the little commentary down on in the video when I was saying I don't know what's wrong with it. I think something's wrong here. I probed these and verified that this has 12 volts. And luckily I went and bought a brand new one of these. Look at this. Oh, that's the wrong remote. So we have really a defective remote. Why it's defective, I don't know, because so this worked. This worked perfectly. And with that one, I'm gonna have to throw that away. That all worked perfectly until I moved this to jumper cables and then magically stopped working. So I don't know if I did something, but look at that. Now we have a good working remote. So yeah, I'll plug this in. I'm gonna leave, that's too nice. I'm gonna leave that in the cab. So works. All right, so we're gonna do some wiring bullshit. Since this cluster is bad, I'm gonna tear this apart, and let's see what we can find on the inside. I've torn it apart before, but we'll see how this goes. Alright, so here's the main part. This is going to be the one that I do the experiment on, where I'm going to cut out that little spot there and see if I can't fit it in the front. Ideally, I would want the oil pressure to go here. So don't you judge. So what I would probably end up doing is taking off the arm for it, just the arm, okay? And on this one, I had actually at one point put RTV back there, and it will turn white and get annoying. So don't do that. Don't put RTV behind them to get rid of a light. But luckily I found that out on an old cluster. So let's, I gotta figure out how to get the rest of this. I think I gotta take these four out as well. All right, so once that's all off, should be able to, I do think that I think you have to take all the needles off. I've done it before. No, don't touch Liam. This is delicate. This is very delicate.
How do you even do that?
You take them all off. Now you're probably thinking, oh, well, when you put it back on, how do you know? So what you'll do is you'll turn the key and you'll hold this down, and each gauge will do one of these, and you'll know if it's actually in line where it's supposed to be. So it'll do it with every one of them. So just keep that in mind. Now that all that's off, you also have to take this guy out right here, which is a pain. And I'm actually breaking this as we do it. Like, I'm snapping these little guys off. In my case, I'm not worried about it. In your case, don't do that. This is anything that I can't take off of this is going in the garbage. So you guys will see there's this little 3 or 6 prong here, You want to take this off while spreading those. And I forgot, there is actually one that hides under here. I was wondering why I couldn't get this off. So let's get that off quick. All right, now that'll come off. Now I want to show you guys, a lot of these electrical components are actually damaged. Like, also there's supposed to be a speaker here. I put an LED there because at one point the taillights were giving me issues and this thing would chime forever. So I put an LED there so it wouldn't annoy me. But yeah, so these are bad. You can see the burn marks on the back, and I've already went through and resoldered like everything. You guys can see like everything I've resoldered at one point, except for like the little chips, which I won't mess with. But I think it was my 2006, I resoldered all of the chips on that one, which actually I may have resoldered them, I don't know. But yeah, so I resoldered them, and that's how you get the tachometer to work, is resolder all of those. So let's get this apart. You guys will see. Here's the back of the gauge pack. I don't know if I'll be able to hollow out the, yeah, I probably won't. Oh yeah, look at all the burn marks on the screen here.
Hey, look, you can
like all of that.
You can take this off too.
So yeah, a lot of this stuff is, you know, you can try to rebuild it if you want. I am not going to, because this cluster, like, none of the lights up there worked, none of the lights inside worked, and there was a lot of things that just did not work. Like the left turn signal light, that right there would just stay on, whereas this one never worked at all. There was no clicking when you'd hit the turn signal. Like, this thing is just, there's no point in trying to save it. You guys can also see somehow a lot of moisture got in this thing too at one point. So there's a lot of water moisture in here. It was probably from the previous owner, because when I got it, none of that stuff worked either. The only thing that worked was literally the gauges. That was it. The mileage would randomly show up and disappear. So kind of sucked, but you know, whatever. All right, so knowing what I know, I'm gonna try to black this out here. And I'm going to, you guys can see right here, here's your check engine light and here's your check gauges light. So I need to find a way to make those LEDs not work without disrupting anything on the cluster. I don't know if I can just unsolder them. I have no idea, but for the sake of not ruining that one, I don't want to do anything electrical on it. Maybe I'll just pull this off and we'll put something back in there so that none of these lights can light up. So kind of like I did to this, but unfortunately RTV is not the way to go. Do not put RTV back there. That light will stay on forever. All right, well this sucks, and I figured this would be a problem. So I can't put that wheel on here because these rods are way too thick. So apparently trailer's lug nuts are thicker than your standard dually wheel. That sucks. So I have no idea. So this is gonna look stupid now because this wheel's always gonna be lower than that one. So not exactly the happiest about it. Like, I would have been fine with that if I could have put that dually wheel on the side. Apparently we're just mounting trailer tires on it. So whatever, I wanna get this shit off. So I'm gonna take this, take that, take everything to the shop tomorrow. At some point, I wanna get a headache rack and then have the spare on the roof. I kind of like, I don't know, I know it'd be a little bit of weight, but I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how I feel about it. All right, so rather than doing the trailer brakes today, I'm gonna do them maybe tomorrow, but we'll see. It's gonna be a pain with the Mustang up there. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull these gaskets back off and try to modify them, because you guys can see they're a lot wider than what they need to be. So I'm gonna try to see if I can't squeeze them in a little bit. Because I know the first time I did these gaskets, there was no leaks. And that was when I originally did this motor. I was running around, never had any leaks. And then I had an issue, I decided to swap turbos. And then we started having issues from that point on. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is get all of them pulled off. And this should be super simple. Changing exhaust manifold gaskets is really simple on a 5.9, which is one reason why I don't want the new truck, because there's an EGR cooler and all that bullet up here. It's like, look, all I had to do was take that intake off, pull this back a little bit, usually leave, you know, 2 of them on, and you can do 4 of them, put those 4 in, and then do the 2 center ones. Super easy. So let's get to work. Goodness. All right, so it's getting, we're like 10 minutes in. It's getting pretty hot, so I'm gonna take some sweatshirt off, but yeah. All right, well, as annoying and painful as that was to do, nothing I was able to do. See, the plan was to kind of like squeeze the gaskets in a little bit, and I did that, but it really doesn't make much of a difference, and they still stick on the outside. So I'm gonna try to get some 12 valve gaskets and see if we can't fix it that way. I forget, I don't know if it was leaking when I was using 12 valve gaskets. I thought it did at one point. So I'm just gonna order them and see what happens, but we'll go from there. Yeah, you can see here, I was pressing them into the vise. Also, at some point, if somebody, you can see the end that's on this throttle cable, let me know if you can get me one, if anybody can get me one of them for this high idle switch right here. This is what I've been using. It's just a throttle cable. I want to use that on this for my high idle, because I used to just wrap it around and I didn't like that. All right, so at the bare minimum, I at least wanted to try to see if I couldn't get that done, because I'm really tired of hearing the loud clicking noise from the engine bay, from the exhaust manifold gasket leaks, especially all 6 of them. It is minor, but it is annoying. So fiance had an appointment today to get her hair done, which is why I decided to come out here and do stuff today. But I want to spend as much time with them as possible while I'm home, since I'm only going to be home for 2 days. So it's like 2 o'clock now. We're gonna wrap this up. Tomorrow we'll go take care of this. Don't know what I'm gonna do with this spare battery yet. Probably just throw it in the shed, or see if I can't get a trickle charger on it. But this is fully charged, so everything's good. But end up, tell you guys before, I'll end up getting this thing cut off here at some point. So I do really like this system here. So I'd like to find a place to like wrap everything, like probably put something back here, and that way it can just like stay wrapped around that. And then those little quick connects that we use on the tow trucks for the batteries, maybe like put it like somewhere like here on the bumper or something like that, so it can just connect. That way I don't gotta run a ton of weight of wiring here while also having the weight from that. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think. Or should I just keep the jumper cables? I'd prefer not to pop the hood, to be honest, but I don't want to run wiring the whole way back when the trailer's already wired for it. So, but coming along pretty good. Let's get cleaned up and get out of here. All right, well, I'm gonna tell you if I notice any less smoke. It's still a lot of smoke, I don't know. But I'll let you know if it feels any less powerful down below, or if it feels more powerful. I don't know. I mean, I don't really feel a difference since I did that. Maybe it has to take, I don't know. I definitely turned that screw out as far as it goes until it touched, and then I stopped. Whereas before it just pushed on it, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't really feel a difference. So, I mean, I guess that's a good thing if I don't feel a difference. Hopefully my mileage feels a difference. That was a small light haze. I'll give her the oomph when I pull out. It still chiefs, but like, I feel like it chiefed a lot more before. I don't know. It definitely, it doesn't have that, I don't know, I kind of feel a difference, like a little bit, where it's like, it feels like before when it would start spooling, it would just do one of these kind of. Now it doesn't really do that as bad, but I don't know, maybe this should have made a huge difference going from all of the fuel to none of it. Yeah, that's different. Okay, maybe it takes a minute. I don't know. I don't know if there's like a delay on it or some shit. Oh yeah, okay. That's a lot different. That's a lot different. Okay, yeah, that is a lot less smoke out the tailpipe. Like, it's a quick, bam, done. Yeah, it's just, before it would just dump black. now it just smokes a little bit. But why does it smoke a little bit even? I can't wait to get the in-cab controller. Listen to this. There we go, yeah. Definitely smoking a lot less. Okay, so that's a win in my book. That means we're dumping a lot less fuel, meaning we should get a ton better fuel economy. So I used to be able to lug the shit out of it and it would just chief. So I'm at idle now, 5th gear and 20 miles an hour. Oh, that's barely any. That is barely any. Oh my God, that is the least amount this truck has ever smoked since before it was stock. Okay, yeah, that, I can tell you now that'll probably make a huge difference with fuel mileage. So we'll be checking it. It was like 10.5 on the way down last time. So, I do need to fix the exhaust manifold gaskets though. If I fix that, I feel like we'll also pick up a few miles per gallon just because of, well, less EGTs too. All right, I'm gonna give it the beans up here and we'll see if we get any smoke at all. Just a little bit. So it's a haze now instead of a cloud. You know, now it's just a little gray cloud instead of a nice big black cloud, which I can live with. That'll also, yeah, that'll keep the environmental people happy too. Not that we care about them, but